So there's a natural law to pretty much everything in life, and I think that type 2 diabetes isn't any exception. In fact, I think that's a big contribution of why I think we're possibly turning this dietary disease into an epidemic. I think it's also a lifestyle disease. You know, in nature, when it comes to especially something like the carnivore diet, I don't have a lot of beef with the carnivore diet other than a few questions of fat intake. In natural law, you see guys, let me just start with natural law is natural law. It is not written by man or anything else. If you go out into the wild, you either live or you die. There's two options there, right? You got to survive. Everything in nature running under natural law has to do whatever it can to feed itself, to get water, to protect itself. And there's a design there. So one of the problems I have with the carnivore diet is the fat. And if you go out into nature, you're going to find that elk, deer, lizards, squirrels, rabbits, all kinds of animals that you're going to eat are very, very low in fat, with an exception if you're in the Arctic. I don't believe you're going to get much fat anywhere, or not the Arctic, but the cold countries like, well, the Arctic, and if you're an Inuit in Alaska, Greenland, any of those kind of places where you're hunting seals and things like that. But the majority of humankind has really been on the savannas and in the jungles. And the jungles are even worse for natural law as far as fat goes. You know, during research, what I found was that trying to find some vegan tribal peoples and what they would survive on. And many of them survive mostly on fruits and tubers and whatever they can find, with a very small amount, especially geographically where you're located, again, in nature's law. They would eat about 10 to 20%, whatever they can find with meat, like fish. There was mainly small game. So depending on where you're at, and another thing is genetics. If you are going to consume fat, normally the body has memory, in my opinion, and it's acclimated through generations of not just climate, but also diet, I think, as well. Like being an Inuit and eating fat your whole entire life. Your great grandfather ate it, your father, your mother, your children's children will eat it. It's kind of passed down, I think. But when we look at us, the rest of us out here, especially in this modern day, we've kind of eliminated natural law from our lives. We're in little tiny aquariums of our homes that are heated to 72 degrees. We never get hot, we never get cold. And I call this the inconvenience of convenience, meaning that as we're sitting in our little cocoons, even our cars and our office spaces, our workspaces that are heated, gassing off chemicals, we're shielded from the natural prisms of light that we actually need on our skin and our bodies, the fresh air needed to breathe into our lungs, good, clean, living water that's not dead, right? Clean living water that comes off of a waterfall that's pure and clean, runs over rocks and twists and turns gently, that has live energy in it instead of something sitting in a pipe. Literally, we sit in some cities, especially here in California, they actually, believe it or not, filter out the black water, meaning your toilet water. And they do it in a way that's healthy and sanitary, but it's just the thought that I'm drinking my poop water. Just the thought on all of this, of how we are completely removed from the joys of nature, not just the law of nature, but the joys. And a stressful body is not a happy body. How do we navigate through all this is a very difficult quest. But I think that in order to get optimal health, we need to try to mimic and return back to natural law as closely as possible. I don't know, something to take in consideration, especially when it comes to food, things that you're eating, that you're putting in your body, the things that you're putting in your children's body. These grocery stores are basically well-being. A lot of people don't even know how an egg, if they've seen the way an egg comes out of a chicken, they would literally probably throw up. A lot of people don't know the difference between a potato and a tomato plant if you showed it to them before it had fruit. We've lost our way, and we continually keep progressing, further and further. The earth is our home, and we're losing our home. And because of that, we're losing our health, and we're eating clown food at the grocery stores, laden with sugar, preservatives, chemicals. And then how can we wonder that type 2 diabetes has 5 to 6x multiplied since the 1970s. Guys, we need to find our way back home to our health, to our happiness, back to natural law. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.